The Indiana Fever must get rid of Kelsey Mitchell. I said it. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever have to move on from Kelsey Mitchell.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to have a very, very uncomfortable conversation today. I need you to brace yourselves, because the honeymoon phase in Indianapolis is officially over. The cute Instagram posts, the pre-game tunnel outfits, the viral moments of everyone smiling and laughing while they ride the historic wave of the Caitlin Clark economy, all of that is about to come crashing down into the cold, brutal, unforgiving reality of professional sports business. We are staring down the barrel of a financial apocalypse for the Indiana Fever franchise, and it all revolves around one specific player, one specific contract, and one incredibly painful decision that the front office has to make right now. Kelsey Mitchell. I am going to say this as clearly and as loudly as I possibly can, and I do not care whose feelings get hurt in the process. If Kelsey Mitchell refuses to take a massive, substantial pay cut, the Indiana Fever must pack her bags, drive her to the airport, and let her walk out the door. The era of Kelsey Mitchell in Indiana must come to an absolute end if this franchise has any serious aspirations of building a multi-year dynasty around the greatest point guard the game has ever seen. I know that statement makes people angry. I know the hardcore, legacy fans of the Indiana Fever love Kelsey Mitchell. She has been the loyal soldier. She was there through the dark years. She was there when the team was losing 25 games a season. She was the leading scorer, she put her head down, she worked hard, and she is an absolute bucket getter. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is questioning her talent, her heart, or her ability to put the basketball through the hoop. Kelsey Mitchell, in a vacuum, is a 100% undeniable maximum contract player in the Women's National Basketball Association. But we do not live in a vacuum. We live in a salary cap league. We live in a mathematical reality where every single dollar you give to one player is a dollar you are physically ripping out of the hands of another. And right now, the Indiana Fever front office is facing a mathematical nightmare that could permanently slam the championship window shut before Caitlin Clark even reaches her prime. We have to look at the numbers of this new collective bargaining agreement proposal. The owners have laid down a hard salary cap of $5.65 million. That is the pie. You do not get an extra slice. You do not get to ask for seconds. That is the entire pie. If you give Kelsey Mitchell the new Supermax contract that she feels she absolutely deserves, her salary is going to skyrocket to roughly 20% of that entire salary cap. But here is the catastrophic problem. She is not the only player on this roster who is going to demand a max contract. Next year, Aaliyah Boston, the former #1 overall pick, the Rookie of the Year, the absolute undisputed anchor of the paint, and the most vital pick-and-roll partner for Caitlin Clark, is going to be eligible for her max extension. And the year after that, Caitlin Clark herself, the ultimate golden goose, the player who is literally funding the entire existence of this league right now, is going to command the largest supermax contract in the history of women's basketball. If you commit a max contract to Kelsey Mitchell right now, you are essentially committing to a big three that will consume well over 60% of your entire organizational salary cap. And what happens to the rest of the roster? What happens to the bench? The host of the video breaks down this terrifying financial reality, and every single Fever fan needs to listen to this warning very closely.
And likely supermax salary. As Constable noted, if Mitchell were to receive the new max, her contract combined with Clark's and Boston's will leave Indiana with well less than the new average player salary to spend to fill out the roster under the $5.65 million salary.
Did you hear that math? Did you comprehend the absolute devastation that a Kelsey Mitchell max contract would inflict on the depth of this roster? If you pay Mitchell, Clark, and Boston max money, you are left with absolute pennies to fill out the remaining 9 spots on your team. You are going to be forced to sign G League players, undrafted rookies, and minimum salary veterans, just to have enough warm bodies to put on the bench. We have seen this movie before in professional sports. Look at the Phoenix Suns in the NBA. They put all their money into Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. They had no bench, they had no depth, they had no role players, and they got completely exposed and humiliated in the playoffs. Because basketball is a team sport, you cannot win a championship with 3 stars and 9 pedestrians. And this brings us to the collateral damage. This brings us to the absolute heartbreak of what signing Kelsey Mitchell actually means. It means the destruction of the chemistry we all fell in love with last season. If you give Kelsey Mitchell that bag, You are actively choosing to fire Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham. You are taking a sledgehammer to Trey Leches. You are destroying the structural integrity of the locker room. Both Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham are free agents right now. Neither of them is going to play for the minimum. Lexi Hull just proved she is an elite, lockdown perimeter defender who shoots over 40% from the three-point line. Sophie Cunningham is the ultimate enforcer, the bodyguard who took technical fouls and physical beatings to make sure nobody bullied Caitlin Clark. The host of the video issues a direct, non-negotiable ultimatum to head coach Stephanie White and the Fever front office regarding this exact scenario.
You better do the right thing. If you guys give Kelsey Mitchell a full-on max contract, it is a bad thing. That means we won't be keeping Lexi Hull. We won't be able to keep Sophie Cunningham. They're not going to play for me.
It is a bad thing. It is organizational malpractice. Let me make this abundantly clear to anyone who thinks scoring is the only thing that matters in basketball. You already have the greatest offensive engine on planet Earth in Caitlin Clark. You do not need to bankrupt your franchise to keep a volume-scoring shooting guard. Caitlin Clark doesn't need another guard who needs the ball in her hands for 15 seconds of the shot clock to be effective. Caitlin Clark needs exactly what Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham provide. She needs elite, switchable, ruthless perimeter defenders who can take the toughest defensive assignments every single night to save Caitlin's energy. She needs absolute knockdown, catch-and-shoot assassins who will stand in the corner, wait for Caitlin to draw the double team, and punish the defense with a dagger three-pointer. And above all else, she needs enforcers. She needs players who are willing to get their hands dirty. If you let Hull and Cunningham walk just to satisfy Kelsey Mitchell's ego, you are leaving your franchise quarterback completely unprotected. You are building a mansion with a Ferrari in the driveway and absolutely no locks on the doors. So, what is the solution? How do actual dynasties handle this exact problem? Because believe it or not, the Indiana Fever are not the first team to face a salary cap crunch. If Kelsey Mitchell wants to see what it actually takes to build a multi-championship super team in the WNBA, she doesn't need to look very far. She just needs to look at the Las Vegas Aces. She needs to look at Becky Hammon's squad. The host drops a truth bomb about how the Aces managed to keep 4 All-Stars on their roster, and it is a lesson in sacrifice that Kelsey Mitchell needs to study tonight.
You got to take pay cuts, okay? Asia Wilson took less than what she could have gotten, okay? She took less. Wilson wasn't the highest paid player in the league or even on her team last year. That was Jewel Lloyd. Jewel Lloyd.
Aja Wilson, the undisputed MVP of the league, the greatest player in the world right now, intentionally left 20% of her maximum salary on the negotiating table. Why? Because she is not stupid. Because she wanted to win rings. She looked at the Las Vegas front office and said, "Keep my money, use it to pay Chelsea Gray, use it to pay Jackie Young, use it to pay Kelsey Plum, and let's go build a dynasty." Tom Brady did the exact same thing for 2 decades with the New England Patriots. He consistently took less than his market value, so Bill Belichick could afford to pay a top-tier offensive line and a dominant defense. That is what champions do. Champions sacrifice their individual financial pride for the greater good of the parade. Now, we have to ask the brutal question. Is Kelsey Mitchell willing to be Aja Wilson? Is Kelsey Mitchell willing to be Tom Brady? Is she willing to look at Stephanie White and say, "I know I am a max player, I know I could get a max contract in Chicago or Toronto, but I want to win a ring with Caitlin Clark, so I will take a 20% pay cut so we can afford to re-sign Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham." Let's be brutally honest. Let's look at human psychology. The answer is probably no, and I don't blame her. Kelsey Mitchell is significantly older than Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. She is entering the absolute back half of her athletic prime. This is her last, best chance to secure a massive, life-changing, generational contract. She has put in the years of suffering in Indiana, and she feels like she is owed that maximum payout. She is looking at her window and saying, "I need to collect my bag right now." Furthermore, there is a massive ego element to this. It is incredibly difficult for a veteran player who was the face of the franchise for years to suddenly take a pay cut and take a back seat to a 22-year-old rookie. It takes a level of humility that very few professional athletes possess. If Kelsey Mitchell demands the maximum contract, if she refuses to budge, the Indiana Fever front office cannot operate on sentimentality. They cannot operate on loyalty. They must operate with absolute, ruthless, cold-blooded logic. They have one job, and one job only: maximize the championship window of Caitlin Clark. If you give Kelsey Mitchell a max deal, you are slamming that window on your own fingers. You are guaranteeing that Caitlin Clark will spend the next 4 years playing alongside minimum wage bench players who cannot catch a pass or defend a pick and roll. There is one potential loophole, one temporary band-aid the Fever could apply. They could theoretically use the core designation on Kelsey Mitchell for 1 single year. Pay her the max for the 2026 season, make one massive push for a championship with this exact roster, and then let her walk in 2027 when Aaliyah Boston's max contract kicks in. But even that is a massive risk, because it still severely limits what you can offer to Hull and Cunningham right now. The harsh reality of building a dynasty is that you have to break hearts. Bill Belichick broke hearts when he traded away beloved veterans a year before they declined. Pat Riley broke hearts in Miami. The Indiana Fever are at that exact crossroads. Kelsey Mitchell has been a phenomenal player for this organization. She is an elite scorer. She deserves a max contract. She deserves to be paid every single penny she is worth. But she cannot be paid that money in Indianapolis. It is mathematically, structurally, and fundamentally impossible without destroying the rest of the team. Stephanie White, Kelly Krauskopf, and the entire Indiana Fever front office. The world is watching you. You have been handed the greatest gift in the history of sports in Caitlin Clark. Do not fumble the bag because you were too scared to have a hard conversation with a veteran. Let Kelsey Mitchell go get her money in Chicago. Let her go shoot 20 times a game for an expansion team in Toronto. But you keep your cap space, you pay your elite defenders, you re-sign your enforcers, and you build an impenetrable fortress around number 22. The time for loyalty to the past is over. It is time to secure the future, and unfortunately, Kelsey Mitchell's maximum contract simply does not fit in the budget. Make the tough call, rip off the Band-Aid, and let the Caitlin Clark era truly begin.